But let's start tonight with Robert Costa here with me at the CBS Washington Bureau and Aaron Navarro at the White House. Aaron, good to see you. We'll begin there because the president had a lot to say about his idea for movie tariffs. Let's take a listen.
Film industry has been decimated by other countries taking them out, and also by incompetence, like in Los Angeles. The governor is a grossly incompetent man. He's just allowed it to be taken away from, Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't do very much.
Flanked there by the NFL commissioner and the mayor of Washington. We'll get into that later. Aaron, what are they saying over at the White House about what this might entail?
Ed, good to be with you. During that Oval Office meeting, President Trump said himself he will be meeting with film industry executives as they maybe take a step back from the 100% tariffs he announced on Sunday. And that's because, in part, the White House, an official said that no final decisions have been made. CBS News has reached out to the U.S. Trade Representative and Commerce Department, who President Trump said would be leading this effort. They have not responded to questions for more details. There are still outstanding questions on if this tariff would apply to TV production outside the U.S. Would this apply to American-produced films that are shot outside the U.S., such as the upcoming Mission Impossible movie, and how it will be applied? Will it be based on box office revenue or production costs? But we are starting to get some interesting reactions, particularly from unions in support of just this incentive to bring film production back to the U.S. The SAG-AFTRA union, representing artists and more, supported this effort to increase movie production inside the United States. The Teamsters union said in a statement this afternoon, they thanked President Trump and said, quote, "It's a strong step towards finally reining in studios' un-American addiction to outsourcing our members' work." And California Governor Gavin Newsom, who said in the statement that they're waiting for more details before they officially comment on these film tariffs, pointed out how he is working to get film and TV production back inside California with their own tax credits.
Yeah, but obviously they're not doing enough because places like Atlanta, Vancouver, Toronto, even Romania now are popular places to film. What are they saying over there today, Aaron, about the president saying he doesn't know if he needs to uphold the Constitution?
Yeah, this is a striking comment from him made from his NBC interview where, just some context, President Trump was asked if everyone in the U.S. is entitled to due process, including undocumented migrants, something spelled out in the Fifth Amendment. He said, "I don't know," punted to his lawyers that work for him, said they are going to, quote, "obviously follow what the Supreme Court said." This is in the context of the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the El Salvadorian man in Maryland who the Trump administration said they mistakenly deported to El Salvador due to a, quote, "administrative error."
Bob, this "I don't know" came in the midst of a litany of questions about the Abrego Garcia case, and there's some, if you watch it, suggesting that maybe he was "I don't knowing" the Abrego Garcia situation and not the idea that he has to uphold his oath to the Constitution. But what do you make of this? This sort of strikes at the heart of everything his critics have been worried about with him.
It also reflects how he operates. My sources close to President Trump, Ed, say they're continuing to keep an eye on the Supreme Court and in terms of exactly what it orders the administration to do. And they're trying to see if there's a gray area in terms of following a Supreme Court or federal court order. If there is a gray area, they're going to stay in it as long as possible.
You had a conversation for CBS Sunday Morning with Larry Summers, the president of Harvard, which, of course, is now in the crosshairs of the Trump administration. And he had a lot to say about what exactly is going on there. Let's take a listen to some of that interview.
If Harvard, America's richest university, America's university that had produced the most presidents, if Harvard couldn't stand up, nobody else could.
What's President Trump's end game with Harvard?
I think his end game is to try to get the university to bend the knee.
And what else did he tell you about the administration's actions against Harvard and about universities writ large?
Larry Summers was Treasury Secretary in the Clinton administration, then served as Harvard's president. He's now a professor at Harvard. And his comments reflect what Harvard's president, President Garber, has said in recent days, that they're going to try to defy the administration as they pressure Harvard and other universities to adjust their policies on diversity, admissions, curriculum, how anti-Semitism is handled on campus. Summers was pretty tough in his language. He called it, in his view, extortion for federal grants to be frozen unless Harvard acts in the way President Trump wants it to act. And you saw him last week reference Harvard in his speech at the University of Alabama. He said the future will be written not by the Harvard Crimson, but the Crimson Tide. This is a cultural battle, a political battle, an economic battle.
And notably, Summers and the current president of Harvard both concede the concerns about anti-Semitism or about political imbalance have to be addressed, but not necessarily in this
Broadly
way.
speaking,
Right.
they have both made comments that Harvard has work to do when it comes to handling anti-Semitism on campus. And Summers was blunt. He said that Harvard has made mistakes in the past, not only in terms of how it's handled anti-Semitism, but in terms of the ideological diversity on campus.
All righty. Robert Costa here in D.C. Aaron Navarro over at the White House. Thank you both.